Hi, I'm Ron Burke, and I'm here at the Harness Racing Museum and Hall of Fame. I'm a lot taller than everybody, so I don't know if my voice will pick up on this even any good. Basically, I'm Ron Burke. I train one of the bigger standardbred operations, in the United States. Sitting here, all of you guys that are starting out on, trying to do what we do, you're already ahead of where I was when I started, because number one, I hated horses. Number two, I was scared to death of horses. And basically, I was forced into it because my dad came home when I was 12 years old. We had car dealerships. And I'm the kind of kid, if my dad had sold the car dealerships, I'd probably be selling cars. And he came home and said that we're going to race horses for a living. Even at 12, I thought, man, my dad's an idiot. So, we literally at the time would win a race a year. That'd be a good year. And my dad had always been, I will say though, first of all, he was a horse person. He wasn't a horse trainer at that point as much as he had always had a trainer, but went in and helped out. He drove his first race in 1954. So we had been around the business for a long time, but he decided that it was something that he wanted to do, and he could afford to do it for 2 years before we, had to move out of our home. And that's how he put it to us too. And he said, I'm going to go, and I'm going to, at that time, Doug and Dane Snyder were the best around us. At the Meadows, they were the best, and Dick Snyder, the father, was still alive. And he said, I'm going to go and I'm going to learn what they do, and we're going to do this. And, me being afraid of horses, we'd had them at the house before. I thought, God, there's going to be more of these things. I'm already scared to death. And it was, it used to be if these horses got loose, they were his horses. I'd call him and say, hey, your horses are loose. And he'd be like, can't you go catch them? I'm like, no shot. So, but the first thing I did when, we were forced to do it, we had to help him. He needed the help. There was a horse called Embassy Omega. And it's funny, to me, it's an emotional thing. You do get attached to very few horses. I'm not like everybody else. Maybe a horse there, but that was the one that said, I knew right away that I was good at this. Horses reacted well to me. And I thought, people couldn't handle him. He was bad. He was a bad horse. And that point there, I thought, maybe I'm going to be all right doing this, and every year since then, we've never had a backwards year. Every year has been better than the year before. And part of it was we gambled on harness racing when it was starting to the re-emergence due to the slot machines, which to me, they're a necessary evil. I hate the fact that we have to rely on them, but by the same thing, it has enabled us all to make livings far beyond what we ever would have dreamed of. And it's enabled us to, save a lot of horse farms and a lot of jobs that were gone. When the Meadows got them, we were one step from moving to New Jersey, which would have turned out to be a debacle as it is, because at that point, Jersey was the premier, racing spot in the country. And, now, thank God to Jeff Corral, saved the sport for us there, and hopefully we get slot machines there. But it are these things that I think is what will lead us back to maybe being a sport that can, survive on our own, is we need every one of you that when you become involved to make sure that you get 4 people more involved, bring them to the track. To me, this is my opinion, our sport doesn't play that well on TV. It's not like pro football. Pro football was made for TV. It's led for their sport expanding. Our sport is awesome live. Come watch it. It's the best. Once you understand it and you can grasp it, it really, it's become, for me, I can watch 1,000 races a day. It doesn't bother me. I love to watch racing. But the thing is, I grew up going to it live. And almost all my owners grew up going with a father figure to the races. Somebody that, not necessarily their father, but somebody that they looked up to that took them to the races when they were younger. And that's, you know, how the sport has, you know, been brought into their blood. And the thing is you become more and more involved, you will find yourself more and more, it is truly a family-like atmosphere. Like, no matter whatever track you go to, you will know somebody. And, you know, I tell people all the time, it's not brain surgery. It's not hard. Just do what you think's best for the horse. And 99% of the time, that's what will be best for you. I mean, that's the whole thing. Put the horse's needs above, you know, your needs that, well, we need more money this month. Do what's right for the horse, and it'll still, in the long run, end up being, you know, right for you. And, you know, we won a lot of races last year. I mean, we won, I think, over 1,000 races, 1,090, something like that. But what people don't understand, we lost 3,500. So, you know, we're the biggest winner, but we by far are the biggest loser too. So, you know, we've taken a different approach. We became a little bit like, I like to say, the Walmart of racing. We have something for everyone. I mean, I train 5 claimers. I train Breeders' Crown champions. It's funny, you would think that naturally the horses that you would be most attached to would be the Breeders' Crown horses. It's not. It's the horse that does more than, you know, than you think he should. You know, it's the horse that steps up and, you know, races the, you know, greatest ability. Now, the thing is, my best horse is also my horse that tries the hardest. I mean, Foyle, again, is not by far, he wouldn't even be in the top 10 of the most talented horses I've trained. But he is by far the most consistent and the hardest trying horse I've ever trained. I mean, literally every step, every lunge, he never loses photos. I don't know why. He doesn't lose them. He leans when he's supposed to. Some horses lean the wrong way, you know. And you know, for this year, last year, I was convinced Sweet Lou was going to dethrone him. You know, he's going to be my best horse. He's a wonderfully talented horse, way more talented than Foyle. You know, it took me half a year, you know, even having other people drive Foyle and Yannick driving Lou to realize ain't happening. Foyle's just better than him at this point in their careers. Now again this year, Lou started off good. I'm thinking, yeah, Foyle, you're in trouble. But you know, the thing is, when I know when they go to race, no matter how good Lou is, the other horse is just a special horse. So I really don't, you know, have anything else. I mean, easier for me, I've done these before, is if you have any questions, you know, I'm open to anything you have to ask.
As famous as you are, why did you choose this school in such a small forum to come to?
You know what, actually, Jessica Schroeder does a great job. She, you know, she really is doing a good job trying to promote harness racing, and I think, you know, I like this area too. I'm friends with the Fords. You know, coming here, I thought Mark was the God's gift to mankind, and I found out it was horses. So, you know, but. You know, I think it's important. We have to keep this, keep the sport going, because if we don't, it's going to go away. And I mean, really, I can't do anything else, being honest. It's this, or you want fries with that, sir. And it's probably going to be a big pay cut. So, you know, I do. I like people. It was funny, I didn't really like horses. I liked horse racing when I started. I liked the racing, I liked the competition part of it. As I've become older and as I've become more, I'm more the horse person, you know, I train more babies now. Like, I love the babies. I love to be in, you know, things. Before, all I wanted was race horses. They were like new toys every week. You know, you could claim one, it's like getting a new toy. You get to play with it that next week, and it's so much fun. You know, and I still do. I love them. I love having the age race horses, but there's more to, there's more pride into the babies. Like when Sweet Lou made it, and he won the Breeders' Crown at 2, you know, we knew nobody else had ever sat behind that horse. Everything he knew, good or bad, had been taught by us. You know, and that's, you know, and part of the other thing with my babies, my father's still very involved. My father's 78 years old, and he goes to Florida with the babies every year. I go down like twice a month, and as much as anything, I could not go, but it's a lot nicer to be in Florida in the winter than it is here. You know, I do enjoy it, and I like to go see him. And the other thing is, I don't want to be told by anybody how good my horses are or how bad they are, you know. I'd like to form my own opinions. That's the thing is, and then when I sit down after I've trained them, I'll sit down with my dad and I'll be like, who's the good ones? And if we both agree, then it probably is a good one. There'll be a few of them that he'll think are good. My dad's an eternal optimist. Matter of fact, we're training 60 babies. We've got like 57 Breeders' Crown champions, and maybe 3 invite, you know. And I'm the other way. It's like we should shoot 57 of these and keep 3, you know. And somewhere in between, we usually will come with that, what is the more, you know, accurate thing. So that's pretty much why I still love the sport.
How did the babies do in the Monday race at Gateway?
Awesome, yeah. And the thing is, I tried something new this year. I sent my babies, I used to take them all to the meadows. I used to bring them all up to the meadows, and then I would farm them out. We have 5 barns. We have a barn in Gateway. We have 110 horses there. We have 22 in Poconos. We have 2 barns at the meadows. We have 30 at the track, and we have a training center of our own that has 47. And then we have 35 in Indiana that Kelly Ford's sister runs, Jamie. And this year I farmed the babies out as soon as they came up. And being honest, I gave myself the worst ones. The ones at the meadows are worst ones, and maybe the Ohio breds, which the Ohio breds aren't going to be as good yet. You know, Ohio's on the rebound, but while they're rebounding, they're an inferior breed right now to, you know, my PA breds and my New York breds. So I've been stuck training the worst ones, and I'm thinking, man, my dad said these were the best 2-year-olds we had. I don't know what he was thinking. These aren't that good, you know, but I went to Poconos and qualified last Friday, and they were very good. Then I went Monday, and they were outstanding. And, you know, I thought, these are our stars. These are, you know, Yannick, you know, he drives a lot of top babies, and, you know, after the second one, he came in from the one filly, her named Sassa Hanover, and said, this is the best 2-year-old I sat behind this year. I said, oh, good, Yannick, we like her, you know. Scotty Zeron went with one of our trotting colts, said, that's the best trotting colt I went with this year. He said, that's your best colt? And I said, no, honestly, I think we have 2 better than him. So I said, you know, it's all right. And then Yannick classified the last one. He said, this is the best one. I said, which I'm also, and Rick owns horses with me, he knows I'm not a big, like when the owners call and say, hey, did you talk to the driver? I'm like, nah. I watched the race, I don't need to be told what I saw, you know, so sometimes I think the drivers, and I was like this when I used to drive. I was smaller than I am now, but I was still too big. And that's another thing too, if you're gonna do this as a profession, you gotta be small. I hate to be the one that breaks the news, but you gotta be small. You know, they say weight doesn't matter. That is crazy. I said, go train a horse, see how fast you can go, then get a couple 100 pounds of feed, sit on your lap, see how fast it goes. Trust me, it ain't going as fast. So, you go to the Meadowlands, it's like the drivers, I'm like, I swear to God, I'm like playing duck, duck, goose in there now. And I'm not doing that. I mean, they're getting smaller and thinner, and, you know, Myron Bell always tells me, Ronnie, you're so tall to be a trainer. I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm not racing them. I think, you know, I'm like a parachute. And when you take me off, they're obviously going to go faster, you know, so, but, I kind of got lost there. I was thinking about being a parachute, but okay, that's it.
And what about Archangel? Where's he in his career right now?
Archangel, I love him. I really think that's going to be my top age trotter. For you don't know, Archangel was I think he won one of the legs at Kentucky Futurity. He was 2 years ago was one of the best 3-year-old trotters in the country. I did not have him. He was my #1 pick as a yearling, and we got outbid. And it's funny how things come around that out of nowhere this year, he had been standing at stud for a year. People called and said, hey, would you be interested in training Archangel? And I'm like, of course I would. I mean, you know, the horse is like a legitimate world champion type. They brought him back. He had been off, you know, probably 18 months from the time we started racing him. And he had been turned out and put away sound. So we didn't have the problem of not knowing that could he make it back. It was just, you know, how fast could we get him back, and, you know, when would he be ready. We started him out the first couple times in open stakes company, and he held his own. He trotted 50 and 4. I mean, I never thought there'd be a day you'd trot 50 and 4 and be 4th. But, you know, it's getting tougher. The horses are getting faster. The drivers drive them harder. which is part of me when people ask why the explosion of speed in the last 20 years. Well, look how fast we get to the half. We used to get to the half in 57. Well, if you get to half in 57, you're not going in 47. But when you go to the half in 52, it's a lot easier. When we were at Pocono Saturday night, or Sunday night, I mean, just average horses. They got down to the half in 52 and a piece, 3/4, 119 and 3. We went a mile in 48. I mean, they were not bad horses. They're, you know, good open type horses, but not miles that you would have saw before, but it's how them drivers drive. You know, if you look back 20 years ago when I started, 30 years ago, there was maybe 10 catch drivers, and then the rest of the guy were guys like me that trained and drove. It's the same ringer I have. People hate that. I love it. And so, you know, I think that's the biggest reason with the explosion of speed is the smaller athletic drivers, that this is what they do, that they, and maybe they don't have as much care for the ultimate well-being as a horse, and they drive it more aggressively, where trainers, if you knew that you had to be the one that had to fix what was left when they got done, maybe you were a little bit more, you know, cautious with them. So I think there's been good and bad at that way. I don't think speed is as much as we all love to talk about it, I don't think the average fan cares as much about it. You know, they want to know who won, and, you know, winning is the most important thing. And even though we sometimes follow, you know, like the fastest horse is not always the best horse.
Yeah, congratulations for rewriting the record books and all that you're doing. What would you say, in your opinion, differentiates you from a lot of the really good, great trainers today, that you're having so much more success than they are? Like, a lot of people say, you know, we all do the same things to the horses, and yet this guy is winning it in an inordinate amount, inordinately great clip, you know. So how would you attribute that to? Is your basically 4 or 5 things that you
One,
do?
we don't do all the same things. I mean, number two, we don't. I tell people all the way, I think the biggest problem, a lot of people, they too worried about my barn, not worried enough about their barns. I've always worried about my barn first. I don't worry about everybody else's barn. Number two, I spend more money than anybody. I mean, I'm buying horses at an unparalleled clip. Of course I'm going to win the most money. Of course I'm going to win the most races. Nobody's tried to do what I've done. And I mean, it's not because they couldn't. If you ask somebody to come in and do what I'm doing right now, they couldn't have done it. Nobody could just walk up and walk into my job. But I didn't have 250 starting out. I had 20, then I had 50, then I had 100. And I learned to do it as I went. And believe me, there's a lot of horses that if I could go back now and train them, they would be a lot better than they were than when I was. You know, I'm the one that I'll openly say, you know, that I get accused with drugging horses. I get accused, well, I mean, of all the tests for high ACTO, the TCO for milkshaking, I've never had one, not one test. Well, of all the easiest things to do, which comes with the least penalty, I wouldn't have done that if I was a cheater, not one. I've never had an EPO high antibody ever, ever, ever. All the other trainers, how many have had them? Never had one. I don't believe in drugs. I don't believe in the vet. I'm not a big vet people. People that have, you know, that come to my barn and they find out when they get their vet bills, they're like, these are the lowest vet bills I ever saw. I don't believe in it. I mean, I'll use it for therapeutic. Being honest, I don't think I'm morally better than everybody. Scientifically, the idea that I'm going to have a headache tomorrow, so I'll take an aspirin today is ridiculous. If you told me that, you know, I could give them Butte 3 hours out, I'll give it. If you said it's fine, I'm Lasix. I'll put my horses on Lasix. The idea of giving them Butte, Banamine, Robaxin, Lactonase, I mean, half these things I think they're drowning by the time they go to the gate. And that you're giving them a day out to race them the next day. Well, if it was so good for them, it would show up in the test. When you pass the test, obviously it's out of their system. Why did you do it? It was a waste of money. All you did is make the horse feel weird for a day. So I'm not a big believer in that. You know, I tell people all the time, and anybody, my barn's on 24-hour security. We have 16 cameras that run the full time. They have a 28-hour loop. I can access it from my computer. I've offered it to Jeff Garau. I've offered it to Bryce Cody. Click it on anytime you want. You can watch the whole barn. You don't even have to come there. You can sit on your desk and just screw through screens, see if we're doing anything. Put a guard in our barn, I don't care. I have nothing to hide. I don't think we do things better. I mean, we do better than some people, yeah. The idea that we're all the same, that's ridiculous. Why isn't there, you know, IBM's not better than the next computer company, Apple wasn't better. The idea that somebody could be better, that's what I said, as a trainer, as a driver, if you're a great driver, you're super talented. As a trainer, at best, we're hard workers. At worst, we're cheaters. That's the best we could be. We could not be inherently better than the other ones. I mean, that idea is ridiculous. Why? Why is it?
So hard work is it.
Well, it's hard work, but I'm good at what I do. I mean, believe me, I'm not like one of them people that sit up and say, oh, I'm just lucky. My ass, I do good at what I do.
You're a cute, picking up little things.
I'm a good trainer. I have a good sense of horses. I have a good sense of what they need. I mean, I'm not the only one that has it. I have a good business team behind me. My mother's unbelievable. We're famous for our bills being the best. My dad, nobody has ever accused us of swindling of $1 or anything. I think those are the things that add up. And we're a family. I mean, and there's a bunch of us, and we have people that have been with us for 20 years that are just like family. You know, we build a group together and we work together. It's not me, it's Burke Racing. Burke Racing is what does everything.
Other than studying your black book when you go to a sale, what do you look for when you go to Harrisburg or the various
It's
sales?
funny, to me, that's something we've gotten better at when we needed to. My owners put in more time than me, being honest when it comes. I have 3 owners that watch every tape that is brought out. And I'm telling you, they watch every tape. They watch every tape. I said, I don't know how they do it. I have a hard time when they assign me the final 200 getting through them. You know, and they're good. They know what, you know, they've seen enough that they know what I like. They know what we like. If you get it down to 200, then I can look at them. You know, we go to the farms. We talk to the farm managers. Who's better than, you know, who's better in the field, who's not better in the field. And in the last couple of years, I do believe in the USDA's, the Golden Crosses. You know, the idea that Westerns Terror bred to grin from ear to ear. If you look, it's like the worst cross of all time. Literally, the horses average making $7,000 in their career. And I mean, it's 200 horses. Well, I'm not gonna be the one that tries to break the trend. I'm not that good. You know, if you have 200 horses who are $7,000 earners, probably ought to stay out of that bunch. You know, you go to Dragon again to Art's Place, Dragon again to J. Lobel, outstanding. Andover Hall to Donerail, outstanding. That's where I try to shop. You know, let's make it as easy as possible. You know, things that work usually. The other thing I think is, you see the classic races. I know for all the time there's the odd horse. They come out of the classic bloodlines. It's the same families. It may be further back a thing. Anymore, I don't even try to buy a baby that doesn't have a champion, and I mean a true champion, not a fast horse. I mean a champion, a horse that made $1 million in its direct bloodlines, because those horses, they're better families, you know. The breeding's better, and then the last thing is, you know, the look of the horse. I don't really care how big they are or how small they are. I used to be hung up on having them big, but now there's more smaller tracks than there are big tracks. You got to make a lot of money, you better be able to get around half miles. Yonkers is a great place. New York's a great place. So you can take a smaller horse. The biggest thing I want is, I want an athlete. You know, just, you know, an athletic looking horse. And when you've seen enough of them, you start to have a feel for them. But I mean, we all make mistakes. I mean, I had a horse last year, he won a final, he won a series at like, he was 4, and my dad was all happy, and he's like, yeah, look, that horse is finally coming around. I'm like, yeah, Dad, we're stuck like $500,000 right now. You know, if we can find another series that goes for $1 million next week, we could be out, you know. So, you know, that's the thing is people, they remember the foiled agains, they remember they don't see the ones that are, you know, that never make it back. But in the overall picture, that's the thing we do. We turn over a lot of numbers, and the other ones we move. If they're not gonna make it with us, and that's the one thing a long time ago I figured out, I'm not the best trainer for every horse. Anybody thinks they are, they're crazy. There are horses, I don't do as well with nervous horses. I have a hard time with them. I say I'm gonna change, I'm gonna lay off them, I'm gonna ease them back. First time they race back, I resort to, I like to train them hard. I like to push them, I like to It's my thing, it's what I do. It's hard for me not to do it. Buckeye St. Pat somewhat got me to change my ways. I loved her, she was my favorite horse. She just wouldn't hold up under what, like Foyle will take, Buckeye St. Pat will not take. I'm becoming to think that that's the deal with Lou too. Sweet Lou he's more thoroughbred than he is harness horse. You know, I can't ask him to race 4 weeks in a row. I can't ask him to train in between when he's racing. You know, I just give him weeks now where it basically jogs and hangs out in the field. And it kills me because I'm thinking, oh, he's getting unfit, he's getting unfit. But I watch him, he just blows back up and he starts to look strong again. Then I'll give him one hard, fast work before he races, and then he seems to race great. So, you know, I'm only 44. I learn. I'm never afraid to ask anybody anything. That's the biggest thing, if you take this from anything. If you get into it, ask people questions. Even if you don't agree with them, ask. I mean, I grew up, I asked Bill Zett, Dickie Stillings, Doug Snyder, every day. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Sometimes I thought, that doesn't make sense. But then sometimes I thought, oh, I can understand why you're doing that. You know, and there was a lot of things, 20 years ago you got into sport, we were walking them for 2 hours after they raced, withholding water with 3 blankets on them. You know, they did the study of the Olympics, you know, in I think it was 86, and they said it's ludicrous. It'd be like taking a runner, putting a heavy jacket on him after he ran, withholding water and making him walk around the track. They said it's stupid. Why would, you know, but with horses, it was the accepted way. You know, now we take horses, give them all the water they can, put a fan on them and put them in their stall. First couple times I did it, my dad was like, if you lost your mind, this horse is gonna die. Yeah, Dad, based on what? You know, give me some science that says I'm gonna kill this horse and I'll quit doing it. Now all of them, we, you know, get them cool, get them calm, quicker you can get them home. I mean, we're big believers in, like we'll race in Lexington, 11 o'clock at night, 5 o'clock the next morning, they're back in their stall in Pittsburgh, we'll ship them all night. They go home, they're way more comfortable. If you're gonna go there, if you're not gonna be there for 2 weeks, don't be there for 2 days. You know, get there the last minute, race and come home. Now, if you can go there for 2 weeks, I think horses settle in, you know. It's just like people, you know, if you're constantly shipping and moving hotel to hotel, you're never calm. You know, if you go somewhere and you spend 2 weeks, you're calm, you relax. I think, you know, horses, but that was the best, though, the advice I ever got. I had a veterinarian, he died 4 or 5 years ago. He was, you know, with us from the time I started till, you know, till he passed away. And he said, Ronnie, don't apply human emotions to a horse. Don't think a horse is you. Don't, you know, I leave all my barn doors wide open. I leave all my windows open year round. And people are like, are you crazy? And I'm like, I also don't get a lot of sick horses. Ventilation's more important. You know, and people are like, their horses are cold. I go, every day when I leave, I ask, any of you cold? Nobody ever said anything. I'll take that as a no. And I just, you know, I'm in the barn with them. I'm all right. I'm making it. I don't have fur, so, you know, it's different. Rick.
Do you manage somehow to watch every race of every horse?
I watched one when I was talking to you guys. Yeah, you know, if I started 4,200 horses last year, I watched 4,000 of them. I mean, that's the other thing, that why people couldn't have done what I do now 20 years ago. The technology wasn't there. You didn't have cell phones. Now the new thing with the USTA, the entering thing, on computer, greatest thing that's ever been invented. It is the greatest program. It's unbelievable. I mean, literally, I was at Mark and Kelly's house this afternoon. I entered 4 or 5 tracks. Tomorrow morning when I get up, I used to spend an hour and a half calling this track, waiting for them to answer, calling this track, waiting for them to answer. That's an hour and a half I should have been training horses. I couldn't. I had to do book work. Now, tomorrow morning, like tonight, when I leave here, I'll drive all night. I'll be at the Meadows tomorrow for qualifiers. I don't have to go in Anna or anything. I'll go right to training, you know. We'll qualify horses. And then while we're driving back, you know, I have somebody that'll drive me to Poconos on Friday. I'll do the entries while we're driving down the road. Again, you know, with the computer. It's been a huge thing. I mean, the ability to watch races while I'm on the road. I mean, as long as I have an iPad, I can watch anything I want. You know, that's been to me, it's the greatest thing, because I trust, you know, my people, but to the same thing, I want to see the race myself. Now, it is funny, because most of my owners do know, I'm not there when most of my horses race, obviously. I mean, if we race 13 tracks in one day, being honest, I'm at home. Because my home's set up like an OTB. I can watch more races at my house than I can watch anywhere. And then, you know, sometimes the owner will call me 2 minutes after race and be like, you know, why'd the horse race bad? And I'm like, I don't know, as soon as the horse calls me, I'll call you back. I don't know. You watch the TV the same as I did. I mean, I don't know, you know, call me in one day, you'll get a better answer. Call me in 2 days, even a better answer. Call me in 3 days, you'll get a great answer, because number one, blood don't lie. The best thing if your horses are bad, take blood. I mean, blood doesn't lie. If their blood's screwed up, no horse race is good. I don't care. Horse is sick, horse is tied up, horses GGT, horses, anything is out of whack, they're gonna race bad. End of story. You know, when I scope them, if a horse, they come, you scope them and the vet says 10 out of 10 on mucus, I mean, it doesn't take a genius. If their lungs are full of mucus, you know, and people say, oh, why don't you scope them all before the race? Why don't you scope them? First, every time you stick that scope down their nose, I think you're, you know, entering another chance of adding another foreign substance into their body. And two, you know, I try to make money for everybody. The idea is I try to keep the bills down. I want people to make money. It's a fun sport, but it's a lot more fun if you make money too. You know, it's hard. Like 30 years ago, I think you had owners that were in it more as a recreation. Now, most of my owners, they're in it to make money. Half of my owners don't do anything but what I do. I mean, they own horses. You know, Mark Weaver of Weaver Buscemi has never had a job. I mean, he's 43 years old and went from being a professional gambler to a horse owner. And, you know, he probably somewhat hurt the handle because he found that he had got the same rush out of owning horses that he used to get out of gambling on horses. So, you know, I think those are the things that have changed.
Speaking of the blood, in your experience, if you bought something or claimed something that you suspect was high on cobalt, what do you find happens to them? Is it, do you get blood crashes or?
It's funny, cobalt's the new, for people to ask, it's like the new supposedly EPO. But, you know, I've asked my vet, he doesn't feel that there's any lasting effect to using magnesium cobalt on a horse. You know, he feels, you know, that he even thought there is a therapeutic use for it, you know, but we're not allowed to use it, so I ain't gonna use it. I'm of a different opinion than most people. I don't think everybody's running around cheating. I don't see it. I'm around all the time. I'd say you've got 90% good people in this sport. 10% maybe we have bad apples. You know, and it's their job, you know, to catch them. But if it truly is even 10%, I don't know, they're not catching them. And I don't know why they're not or how they're not. I mean, the testing is so, people say Pennsylvania has no testing. The testing we have is off the charts, what they're able to do. I mean, they can break everything down in a horse's body into the molecular level. I mean, if they can find it, it's easy. It's sometimes hard time putting a name on it. So I don't think the cheating is as much as everybody thinks it is. You know, as soon as a horse race is better for one person, 8 out of 10, oh, that guy had to cheat, you know, he drugged the horse. We're our own worst enemy. Because we're constantly always pointing fingers at each other, I mean, people have began to, you know, perception's reality. People think that the sport's, you know, full of drugging and cheating. I don't see it. That's what I tell people. You know, fixed races. Has never been approached to fix a race. I've been racing for 20 years. I used to drive. You'd have thought somebody would have said, maybe this guy will cheat. Never one time. You know, I don't think they're like, oh, Ronnie's just better than us. He won't cheat. No, I don't think it happens as much. Especially with the advent of slots, the purses we're going for, you don't need to cheat to make money. You can make a lot of money. You know, maybe back in the day when Northfield was going for $2,000 and you're trying to feed your family and they're betting $1 million into the purse, you know, maybe there would have been a motive to cheat. But now, there's no need to cheat. Just race your horses. Race to win and you'll do fine.
How about hormones? Is that considered drugs?
Yeah, we're not allowed to-
I overheard,
Yeah, we're not allowed to use them anymore. We were probably 5 years ago, and I'm in a disagreement here with the commission, but I play by the commission's rules. I think hormones were great for horses. I thought used in the right manner, equipoise, Winstrol V just made them metabolize their nitrogen better. They metabolize their nitrogen, they build stronger muscle. I didn't think it was bad for them, What happened is a couple guys hit 72 home runs, and all of a sudden they were comparing us with Major League Baseball. Well, I don't think they were ever proven that they had an adverse effect on horses. So, but they came out with very serious tests for them and very serious penalties. So I've not heard of anybody using equipoise, Winstrol V, Decabol, and there was a bunch of them, but I thought they were used in the right manner. Used as anything, you could abuse the horse with them and hurt them. But used in the right manner, I thought they were good. I thought they were good. They kept the horse's appetite stronger. I didn't think anything was wrong with them. When Big Brown raced on them, people were making such a big deal about it. But at that point, it was legal. It wasn't illegal. It was the same thing as Lasix. Lasix, I know Europe doesn't race on them and stuff, but Europe doesn't ask them to race 30 times a year. Buckeye St. Pat I never ended up on Lasix. Not that she didn't bleed. I could always space her starts out. If she bled, I'd give her 2 weeks off. I'd make sure she got healed up. Most horses, it's not reality. Reality, you can't race them 14 times, 15 times a year and, afford to keep them. Good horses, yeah, you don't need them on Lasix as much. Just give them a week off. There's a lot of things you can do for them to help them. But usually, clenbuterol is a great thing. It helps the horse breathe, but, and this is a big problem we have. And it's one of the hardest things that I have to do is clenbuterol in PA is 48 hours. In New Jersey, it's like 72. In Indiana, it's over a week, so you can't ever use it. You got to keep up on, what things you can or cannot do to help horses. Yeah, the clenbuterol, and I think clenbuterol is a great thing, but at 48 hours, I don't think, it's so minute what's left in their system. There's no accelerant effect to it. There's no ability, performance enhancing effect to it. But, it has become the easier thing now is higher penalties and more, I think, because it's our own people. We've been the ones that have said that we have a problem. We have a problem. I don't think we have a problem as bad as we do, as bad as everybody says we do. I mean, maybe I'm naive, but I see it every day. I mean, I don't know.
Ron, I'm just wondering if you have ever used any interval training, or if you do double headers, or
Yeah, you know what, the doubleheader thing that I know Tack does a big doubleheader. Jimmy does a lot of doubleheaders training now. And in the last year or two, I've been playing with it and trying it with the babies a little bit. It's hard when you've had success doing it, and we've changed a lot. Like when I first started, we trained every horse 3 trips. I can't remember the last time we trained 3 trips. When we started, we jogged every horse 5 miles. Now we jog everything on the clock. I found that if you were jogging a horse by miles, it's human nature to think, I'm in a hurry. So you go out and you jog them 5 miles too fast. Like I tell my guys, we're gonna be out of here for a half hour. Going slow or going fast. So might as well let them just jog slow and, things. So the interval training, I think it's basically somewhat what we do. We do it in a different way. My horses, we train every week. And people we have a reputation training hard. Really what we really do, we train 1/4 hard. We go easy, we sprint. We come back out, we go easy, we sprint. The last time we trained, if we race 3 days out, on Saturday, on a Wednesday, the last time we trained, we're at race speed when we hit the wire. We're at full out, every step they can go race speed. And I think that's what we're doing. We're raising their heartbeat, to the required number to get them, to stay fit. I know people think you can't train and the horse stay sound. Well, foiled again, won the West, Buckeye. I've had more horses stay to longer age than most people. I think fit horses stay sound. Soft horses break down. And that's the thing is I think you got to train them to keep them tight, and you got to walk the line. Some horses take more, some take less. There's not one thing that works for them all, but that's why, my thing is, I try to find the horses that I think are gonna fit me. I know what I do, I'm good with lazy horses, I can make horses try. Our program works, you know, to make, not sour horses, like horses that are sour and resent work, I don't think we do good. Horses that are lazy and you have to force them to work and they don't mind it, we do good with them. So we try to buy horses that fit our program. Every once in a while, we buy one that we think's gonna fit and, you know, don't, but I have no problem sending horses to other trainers too. I have horses with other trainers all over the place. And, you know, people's like, oh, don't you feel bad when they win for the other trainer? Well, usually I own part of them, so that soothes the pain, so I pretty much look at the bottom line. At the end of the month, if we made money, I'm happy. You know, I get to play a game for a living, something I love to do, and get paid very well to do it. So I'm not complaining.
Do you have a preference between trotters or pacers?
Yeah, I prefer good ones over bad ones. And I really like great trotters, like the ones that like to almost feel like pacers, because it's the best ride of your life. It is truly the best ride of your life. But normal, just everyday pacers are more fun, because they're easier. They're easier. Some of these trotters, it is so hard. It is hard, you know, and then you're changing shoes and you're always trying to, you know, think so. But when you do hit one and you get, you know, a Buckeye. Buckeye was the most favorite horse I ever trained as far as go out fun to train. I mean, she just like perfect gated, perfect. That, there's nothing a better feeling. So I prefer, you know, the best trotters, but the pacers of as an overall breed, it's more fun and it's easier, you know, but because a bad trotter, especially a bad talented trotter, will make you want to kill yourself. I mean, you're just, and it's funny, you know, you get to that, there are certain horses, if foiled race is bad, it has no effect on me. When he races great, I'm happy, but I'm not like ecstatic, like I expect it out of him. But when he races bad, I still know that he gave me his, you know, his whole effort. When Lou races great, there's not a happier person in the world. When he races bad, I feel like somebody kicked my kid. I mean, you're just like, and that's how it becomes it, because some of them have like just you have the feeling of doing this in your children, you know, that when you feel bad for them when something goes bad, you know, and thank God, you know, that most of the top horses we have never had, you know, a debilitating injury, because, I mean, the first great horse we had was Maltese Artist. That was it was the first national horse that we were on the national scene with. And I was on the phone with my father, watching him at London Fair, Western Fair in Canada, and I'm like, he's jogging, oh my God, his leg just flew off. And it was the worst feeling of my life, you know, and I'm calling him and I'm like, save him no matter what, I don't care what the cost is. They're like, Ronnie, we can't. I'm like, send him to a clinic, you know. They're like, we can't, you know, and you're just like, you know, and it's a monetarily, you know, it kills you, but you're not even thinking about it. You're just thinking, you know, the horse that did everything for us just died on the racetrack. And, you know, I don't wish that on anybody. I mean, you know, I hear people, oh, well, you know, they pushed him too hard. But horse was lame his whole life. How are we to know? It was, you know, it's one of them things. You know, the idea now is not horses take a bad step and they break their leg. The idea is now microfracture, snap. We don't know. You know, you don't know if they never show you lameness. You know, we've gotten better at the things out there to diagnose lameness now are incredible. We have, today I was at Poconos, we have a 2-year-old filly, she came up sore. She cracked a passer, which is not a big deal, stall rest, but I was amazed. We're shooting pictures, like stand there shooting it, and as soon as we push the button, we can spin it, move it, enlarge it. Like this used to be take these, send them to the hospital. If you didn't get pictures, now you're back again, taking them, hoping to get the right angle. You get a bad angle here, you just reshoot it again and spin it, oh yeah. You can shoot above it, look down into it, you can shoot. It's a lot easier now. I mean, you know when horses are lame, why they're lame, you know, so. In that, you know, technology's been great for the horse.
Do you train the trotters the same way as the pacers?
Basically the same, yeah. Like, it's funny, you know, you gotta get the trotters a little bit more up in the bit because you have to help them. Some of them, you gotta balance them. And you have to walk the line because while you're teaching them to get up in the bit, some of them go the other way where they're just wild and out of control, and that's not gonna work, you know, so that's why I said trotters you have to be more patient. Like, I'm now getting better at it. You know, I'm 44 years old, you know. When I was 22, I was like, these things suck, you know. And then, I'll tell you what, the other thing was, somebody came up with these trotting hobbles. They're awesome. You just keep tightening them up till they quit running. You know, people always say, how do you put trotting hobbles on? I was like, I put them on, they run, tighten, no, they quit running, we're good. You know, like people are like, you measure this, measure that. Yeah, I keep taking them up till they stop running, you know, so. But it's been a big thing, you know, you used to, I mean, when I started racing, if you saw Kenny Shand, he wore trotting hobbles, that's it. We all thought, man, that guy's crazy. What are those things? That's ridiculous. Now, 50% of them wear them. I mean, it's made it a lot easier, you know. There are horses that would not have ever raced at 2 and 3 that race and make $1 million now because they have them things just to help them, you know, keep their mind on business. I had a 2-year-old last year that lost 1 race in Indiana. He's a very good horse called RON Burke. Couldn't stay flat to save his life without them trotting hobbles. Could not, would not. Came back this year, doesn't wear them, never makes breaks, awesome. I don't know what, something clicked. You know, he just, you know, I knew it was never a malfunction of gait, it was a malfunction of, you know, brain. And now he just seems like he's settled in, so, you know, they're not the, you know, the save-all, but they've made a lot of good trotters out of horses that would have got it thrown away before. Is that it? One more, okay.
With your yearlings, say even 2 and 3-year-olds, when you're training them down, do you have a set program, like miles-wise, before we turn them?
Not miles-wise, we go with, by January 1st, I break all the babies, and then they all get turned out. Like, I break them as quick as I can get them broke and having hobbles on them. And then December 1, every horse has to be, every baby's got to be in Florida. They all got to be there, and they all got to be broke. And then we start jog them the whole month of December. Being in Florida, we have a little bit of an advantage. You know you're going to get work every day. So, you know, they're every year they got the same amount of work because we start out like 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, then 20, until they're jogging 25 minutes a time. In January 1st, I want to be able to go in 3 minutes. I want to go 3 minutes, 3:10. And then my whole goal is every week 5 seconds off. 5 seconds, 5 seconds. When we get to 20, 2 seconds, you know. But being honest, the horses are so much better now. We're even starting to be 5 seconds off till we get to 2:10. Then 2:10, we start to, you know, slow it down. But these things are so good anymore. I mean, some of these things, you can go 240 the day I think you hook them. I mean, because they're on them whirly-bird machines. They're exercised up before you get them. You can tell the ones you get from the top farms, them things are fit. And it used to be a 2-week breaking process. I mean, I remember leading these things around, lunge lines on both sides, and, you know, now, first day, we take them out, we make a couple figure eights, I hook them, 1 lap. If he hasn't killed me, I tell the rider, get off, and I go. I go 2 or 3 laps by myself, and they're broke. And we're going. I mean, and that's only been the last 5 or 6 years, and they just seem like they're so well handled from the sales. You know, and the couple that we try to raise ourselves, which, believe me, try is the exact word for we should be used. They're like orangutans. They're like, wow. I'm like, we don't do real good at this. We're finally about out of trying to be a farm business. We send them out because we found out we weren't too good at that. You know, when you're trying to lasso them when it's the day before you get them in to break them, you probably didn't do your job. You know, so.
You guys use treadmills as well?
No, I'm not a big treadmill or that whirly bird thing when they're racing. I think it's too small. I think it's too small in a circle. I use the pull a little bit. I don't use it while they're racing. I don't think you can keep a horse racing. I love it when you first start bringing one back from injury. I think they get range of motion back while they're in the pool. It's funny, like, you use life experiences. Like 3 or 4 years ago, I broke my leg pretty severely. And the only thing that I could do was go in the pool. They literally hurt all day, except for if I was in the pool. I thought, man, the swimming thing might be a good idea with these horses. I noticed I got a lot of range of motion back when I swam. And I started swimming horses coming back. Like if they come back from a 6 months off injury, I'll swim them for a month before I put them on the track. One, when they hit the track, they have a little bit of wind to them. And two, I think they get that range of motion back. And that's the biggest thing. If you don't ever get that range of motion back, they're gonna break down again. So I do like it for that.
What's your opinion on 2-year-olds, how they're really not fully developed and yet they're pushing for this money and.
That's the thing is, here's the problem. Who wants to be the one that's to carry them till 3? The farms don't. They don't want to pay to carry them another year. That would be the perfect solution. Let them raise them for 1 more year, move every stake back, make 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, it'd be great for us.
Wouldn't it be a whole lot better for the horse too?
Yeah, it'd be better for the horse, but like I said, when in reality, who's gonna pay it? I mean, you can't afford to be a barn like us. We base 60 horses and have to carry them an extra year. That's gonna be another, how many hundreds of thousands that is gonna be hard to come up. And most people, it isn't gonna work. It's just, you gotta go horse by horse and just do the best you can and try not to hurt them. That's why I said, just do what's best by the horse. When the horse.
They're not fully grown at 2, aren't they? Is that correct?
Some of them are. Some of them are. Some of them, the day they step out, they're as good as they're ever gonna be. They're never,
Bone-wise, everything?
yeah, well, you can x-ray, some horses' knees are open, and I'll tell you what, I've seen horses' knees are open, never bothered them. I've seen horses' knees that were fully developed have problems. It's not a thing, but yeah, if we lived in a perfect society, the farms would hold them till 1 more year, we'd buy and break them at 2. These things would last longer. Even the stakes, Jeff Grau, I give him credit, he's trying to make you keep the older horses going so there's money available. That's the other thing. Let's say even on your own, you say, I'm gonna do what's right. I'm not gonna race at 2 and 3. Okay, now you paid 50 for this baby, you're 150 in while you're a 4-year-old, and your first start you get to go for 12,000, at best. Now it turns out you're a killer. The most you're gonna get to go some places, you ain't getting your money back. You missed all that money at 2 and 3. But your horses like Foiled, you can see he wasn't a great 2 and 3-year-old. Look what happened. He didn't get pushed at 2 and 3. He's 10, still knocking it out, But we didn't pay for him at 2, 3, and 4. Somebody else did. We just happened to be the lucky recipient when they got tired of losing money. And,
Well, that's what I was thinking, that if they didn't raise at 2 and the money was bigger,
I think you would see more of it,
stronger,
yeah.
better, if the whole industry was geared toward that.
Yeah, but that's.
Everybody wants to pay. Like the one guy told me one time, the guy said, the horse is too young to race. He said, the money is young.
Yeah, and that's the truth, it's truth. If they came out tomorrow and said, we aren't gonna raise 2-year-olds, and the farm says, we'll keep them for you for next year, I'd be like, that's great. But by the same thing, if they said, we're gonna have a $10 million purse next week for them, we're gonna train hard this week, because we're gonna get it, so. It's a financial thing too. This is what we do for a living.
In the same vein, talking about 2-year-olds, Ron, you have them in the March, April area, and you like them, you don't like them the next month. If you had many or a high percentage or a low percentage, or a rare, the horse fools you completely by June, and horse you didn't think was going to turn out that well, that really fooled you?
No, it's the other way around. You think they're world champions and they break your heart. There's nothing worse than baby races when the one goes out that you thought was the horse and it falls on its face. And you're going through your head, you're like, pull its blood, scope it.
But not the other way around.
It's very rare I can tell them, I say all the time, I can't tell you who the champions are. I can tell you who the bad ones are quick. There have been a few that I would say there are horses that move not from your 5th set. If we have 5 set of Payson colts, I don't think I've ever had one move from the 5th set into the 1st set. I have had plenty that were in the 2nd set. 2 that come to think were Lou and Blue Ridge Western. They were, quasi bottom of the 1st set, top of the 2nd set horses. Nothing. First time when you'll see, put them a bike. First time we put Lou in a bike, there was an older horseman. He pulled up, he goes, who is that? I go, it's a 2-year-old. He goes, that's the best horse I've ever seen train. And I thought, you knew as soon as you did it. Blue Ridge Western, same thing. I trained him the first time on a bike. I said, Dad, why? I've never heard you even say a word. That colt's all right. He can't start South Padre Island up. Well, South Padre Island made 56,000. Blue Ridge Western made like 1.6 million. You know, but Blue Ridge Western was lazy and he was, you know, you had to chase him. But when he got in the bike, it clicked. South Padre Island the other way, and he got in the bike and he'd like to go to the half in like 53 and a piece and then, you know, walk from there. That didn't work out so well. So, but you know, he had a lot of first halves where we thought we had races won, then you know reality would kick in. So, is that it?
What do you do with horses that don't pass? We'll get another horse to pass around another one. How do you urge them to get them going?
Well, the biggest thing is we train down in sets. So we start with sets of 7, you know, now, and constantly, when you're going slow, it's easier to pass. You know, so they get into the habit, but some of them never do learn. I mean, you finish second a lot, you know, put them in the right spot to finish second. Second's not bad. He may not, you know, get pictures on the wall, but Tokia, 1.8 million himself to second, you know. I don't know how many times he snatched, you know, defeat from the jaws of victory in his life, but, you know, it's hard. Some of them don't want to be in the front. They're followers. I hope they follow fast. You know, you know, we try it. We teach them. You know, you grab up on the one on the lead and force the other one by it. That works till the other horse doesn't grab up on the lead. The horse has to try. I think it's a breed thing too. I think there's, you know, Dragon Against, who we've done great with, that's part of their problem. You've got to be real careful. Don't hurt their feelings. First time they get their feelings hurt, you're in big trouble. You know, some of them, you know, told everybody, like this year's crop, we bought a bunch of Rock and Roll Heavens, just because they were great looking horses, but I was thinking, I don't really know about this horse as a sire. I swear to God, all my best ones are Rock and Roll Heavens. I think he's the next super sire. I really do. I mean, it's not just mine, it's everybody's. Everybody sees it. I'm like, no, that's a problem. It's kind of like the Sun Beach Somewheres a couple years ago. Oh, I got a great one. Yeah, great. Everybody has a great one. You know, now we're all going to race in the same state and kill each other. I got a feeling the Rock and Roll Heavens. I mean, if I had a mare now, I'd be breeding to him. That's it, because I got to go to qualifiers tomorrow, so I'm going to.
It's a big round of applause.